Hey, so I just finished watching. They called him, or he was known as mostly harmless, right, on Max. So it's a documentary about this. Basically, people trying to find the identity of this man who was found dead in the woods in a tent. He was a hiker. His body was extremely emaciated. Um, so it's like an hour and maybe 20 minutes long, right? Uh, I'm gonna fast forward because the bulk of it is pretty much about different internet sleuths, Facebook groups and everything, trying to put pieces together, trying to find this man because he was found with no identification. It's pretty much like he just left his old life behind and just lived as a what do you call those people that kind of always traveling? Um, So I want to really talk about what they found out about him once they found his identity and family and everything like that, right? Um, he was so thin. He only weighed 80 something pounds and he was 5'8". They have come to the conclusion that they feel like he starved himself to death because there was food and money in his tent, right? um Basically, and it's I think the reason why this was such a big deal is because in this day and age, that he died in 2018, which that wasn't, it was less than 10 years ago. So but in the last 2 decades or so, it's really hard for someone to totally um fall off the face of the earth. Like, you're gonna find some kind of internet trail or something, right? But they could not, it took them a long time to find who this man was. He never told anybody his real name. In the hiker world, they have nicknames. I actually learned this when I was reading Into the Woods by Byron. I forgot that man's name. But anyway, there's a book, really good book called Into the Woods. It has a picture of a bear on it and the woods in the background. And that author basically talks about his trip on the Appalachian Mountains. And that's what this guy was doing. Um, so they basically found out that he didn't have a good family life. No one was looking for him. He had abused a few of his past girlfriends or had abusive relationships. Up until then, the people that met him couldn't really fathom that because, I think he was trying to maybe right some wrongs by just, okay, let me just wander the wilderness. And maybe he was a changed man. They said that his father abused him, so sometimes that can manifest into abuse. I'm not a psychologist, so don't quote me on all that. He also had a history of mental health issues, where they said he went in the woods and tried and shot himself, but he changed his mind and then, seeked out help at a hospital. They also said that, with his depression and everything, he would have moments, times where he would just go off by himself for a long period of time. And they feel like he had, I think they called it an outage or something, if I'm not mistaken, in the documentary. And they are speculating that he had one of these outages where he just went in his tent and was like, okay, I'm done, I'm ready to leave the earth. But starving yourself, that has got to probably be on the top 10, if not 5, list of the most excruciating ways to die. I have never experienced starvation, but I've experienced hunger. Hold on just a second, y'all. I have experienced hunger like most people, where, if you go like a half day without eating or whatever, for whatever reasons, you start getting lightheaded, you're about to pass out. Um, it's not it's not comfortable at all. So I can only imagine just not eating anything. They're speculating that's how he died because they couldn't find any foul play. The only thing they found in his system was like Tylenol, you know, something like that. And they said that stays in your system for, I think they said 48 to 78 hours. I don't know how long it takes to get to the point where you're emaciated, because if he took the medicine, you know, a day or two or three before he actually died, I don't think he had to have already been emaciated then, right? I wanted to Google how long does it take for someone to starve themselves to death, but I'm always kind of paranoid about Googling certain things because it's like, what if something happens and then they look at my Google history and they're like, oh, well, she looked for this and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, you know what? We'll find out some kind of way, but I'm not going to Google it. Maybe I'll go to the library, or maybe one of y'all can Google it and tell me. Because I'm very curious as to why he chose this method of death. Again, we're just speculating. That's the only thing we can, people can, this phone is crooked, that we can think of, because they couldn't find anything else. They did a full autopsy. Mental health, I really feel like plays a big part in this. I think we all have gotten to the point sometimes where we just want to leave it all and go. But a lot of us do have family and friends and people that care about us. People have children, even though there's people that walk away from their kids too, you know. It didn't state that he had any children. But the whole story is just, it's sad, because he had a lot of people out on this Appalachian Trail that met him. They took pictures, they chilled with him, ate, broke bread with him. And I hate that he may have felt that no one cared for him or wanted him. We're going to backtrack a little bit. When they started talking about him being abusive to his girlfriends, and you know, that kind of changed the view that some people had of him. You know what? It's very common to feel a certain way about somebody based on your interaction with them. I was actually watching something, again, I think it was on Max, about this dude who was a serial killer who had killed, I don't know how many women, at least 10. But his friend knew him as this totally different guy, and even with the evidence, and even with dude being in prison for killing these women, his friend's still by his side, because in his eyes, he's seeing a different person. So that's the only way I can explain maybe people finding out about his past and still feeling that compassion for him, because, you know, who knows? Maybe he changed while being out there in the wilderness. So his name, Mostly Harmless, comes from this book, which is a part of a series. And they're basically saying that in the series, the person wanders and then accepts the fact that the world's going to end, or everybody in the book accepts the fact that the world's going to end. I don't know if it's in that particular book called Mostly Harmless, but it's in a series. And so they're speculating again that he reached what he felt was the end of his journey and just decided to go out like that. It's hard, man. I deal with mental health myself, and I totally get it. I can understand, but I guess the method of death is because it's like, did he feel like he deserved that torture to die like that? But yeah, so I'm gonna keep this kind of short because, you know, I really don't want to spend too much time on this. You can go ahead and watch it. It just came out. I just happened to be flipping through Max and saw it on there. So again, it's called, he's known as Mostly Harmless. I can't talk today. I don't know what's going on. Mostly Harmless. Now, I promise you my next video will be a little bit more lighthearted, a little more upbeat. It is Saturday. We're trying to enjoy our Saturday night, all right? Shout out to my subscribers. Y'all still hanging in there with your girl. I'm going to try to post more often, you know, just for y'all. As always, peace and blessings. Y'all enjoy.